We saw our moms go through shit with our dads. You're talking about, oh, well, you're never going to get married. Okay, my mom got married and she served my dad hands and feet and she ended up divorcing him because she was sick of his ass.
Because
it's only so much you can take.
It's not even just take. You just get tired. You get burnt out for constantly having to care for someone like they're your child. Like,
guys, I do not remember my mom ever eating. She cooked dinner for my mom, for my dad, for my sister, and for me. And I can't recall a moment when my mom sat down to eat because she was eating while cooking for us because she didn't have the time. You think that I'm gonna do that?
That's sad. As a child, looking at your mom, that's sad to witness.
Right. You need to understand why I'm such a savage and why I'm so angry. You know what I'm saying? Thankfully, I have a boyfriend that understands, that's considerate of me, that knows that if I cook and sometimes I want to serve him, I'll serve him. Right. But sometimes when I say, yo, the food is ready, come get it, he has no problem.
He knows what that means.
And then after that, he goes and washes the dishes to help me out.
Because it's an equal partnership. One hand washes the other. It's not give, and then you just take. Like that's not how it works.
I decided to make this video because I watched one, reaction video from one of my subscribers. His name is I Am Retired. That's his handle. And I decided to piggyback on this, but I have to give credit where credit's due. The original video is a TikTok of two women discussing the issues, two Latin women, I guess the Puerto Ricans. The video is posted on a channel by a woman who I guess bashes black men. Don't quote me on that. But I didn't want to go and look. I've been doing a lot of content about these women that's been bashing. I've been doing my share of bashing too. Because I feel that if the shit goes unchecked, it'll get wild and shit, so it's kind of like a gatekeeper, in my own right, in my own, I guess, in my head. It's my right to do that with my platform. All right? So, I want to react to the video of the two women talking to each other. And, I do want to say that, I spent like right around 3 decades on the West Coast. Heavy, mixed communities that I lived in. I feel like I lived a bunch of lives over there. Okay, it's not like when, I grew up in the Midwest in Chicago, everything's the same. I grew up in a black neighborhood and you just saw like mostly black, white, this, that, and other. Everything's so segregated here. But I found my stride on the West Coast. And, I want to say that, I understand what the two women are talking about. I've seen examples of that. And a lot of that is behavior left over from their home countries. It's a part of their culture and whatnot. What can I really say about it? They have very close-knit families, thick families, and, a lot of times, some of these dudes, they be beating their wives and treating their wives like shit. The wives are called like their dad or something, or uncle, or some cousins and shit, and that guy will just disappear, I'll put it that way. For any women that think, they think otherwise. They think we're just all ogres. They try to cast us as some kind of a villain or antagonist and whatnot. It's nothing like that in our ethnic community and shit. I think about all the women I've dated, and I haven't ever asked them to cook or clean or do any of that shit. If they did that, they chose to do it. And especially not a sister. I have not asked that. I had one black woman when I was in my 20s that was doing that. And, it kind of weirded me out. Because I didn't see her that way. Honestly speaking, this is not me fully formed as I am today. I looked upon her as kind of like my trophy, I know it's wrong, but I was a different person then. I looked at I thought of her differently. I wanted her to be the woman that I took over the world with, okay? I want her to be my partner in crime, okay? I had to see myself as a Bond villain and she was like the henchman or something, And I never thought of her like being beneath me or anything, but I wanted her by my side. I wanted to take over the world with this woman and shit. But she was uncomfortable. She could not acclimate to the West Coast, okay? And she could not acclimate outside of the circle. She couldn't, really breathe in anything that she couldn't somehow control. And I just didn't understand her at that time. And I paid the price for that. But, post her, and I did date some women in Latin culture, and I found that they were conservative. They did do things like cook and clean and wash your clothes and all that shit. Not saying that they did that for me, but I think I've dated like two Puerto Rican women. I really would say one and a half because one of them was a, like uh kind of a friends with benefits thing. We was just meeting up the bank, and I was happy as hell with that Puerto Rican woman. Okay, this woman was a walking sex machine. She was, when I would walk around with her, people would shake my fucking hand when they saw me with her. They would just shake my fucking hand. I was happy. We didn't fuck around our relationship, but she was stereotypical in some aspects. When she was hyper jealous and shit, she was hyper fucking jealous, and she would exhibit some kind of violent tendencies towards women that she thought I was messing around with or something. So it didn't last that long, but I would say that she really made sure you wouldn't leave in the house, and you wouldn't be able to sleep with another woman by the time you walked out of the house to go to work or something. And I'll put it that way. It was very brief, you know. And she ended up being happily married to like a Filipino guy, and I just wanted to tell that motherfucker he better eat his Wheaties and shit, and, because she gonna tear him apart, And I'll leave it at that. I just want to say, I I find the fact that some sisters using this as some kind of like aha, like a smoking gun and shit. I find it laughable and shit. Our community is a matriarchal community. It was destabilized and shit in the '60s. All right, and it's just gotten worse over time. And the fact that a lot of these goddamn women have like a weird Stockholm syndrome, where they fuck themselves over while they destroying everything around them. I find it problematic and shit. And I think that SYSBM is the answer to the problem and shit. It's not to spite you women, okay? Nothing is to spite you. We don't want to enslave you. We don't want shit to do with you because it's a lost cause and whatnot. You can't talk to you. That's why you never hear me really talking about what you bring to the table and shit. There is no fucking table down here. You guys burned it a long time ago. All right? And there's been a matriarchal society and shit. You refuse to take any responsibility on any fucking level for that. It's always got to be the tampon of life and shit. Like I'm gonna make a valid point, and then you're gonna like say, "Oh, but this." I was like, "No, no, but okay, no, but this, no counterpoint shit. Take your fucking pill." We've been the bad guys of the world, through propaganda and other, social ills, economic ills and shit. We're at the bottom of the barrel and shit. You guys been helping us stay there, shit, in the quicksand. And we just want to get out of this shit, okay? And yeah, we do want to go to other countries and bang chicks and shit that look like something. You guys take your asses overseas. You've been doing it for fucking decades. I have personal history that I know that black women were saying fuck American black women were saying fuck American black men as far back as the '70s in my own personal memory. It's kind of fucked up. You a kid watching, some women going taking Jamaican trips and shit, back and forth, and then later on you realize they had an itch they just had to scratch, all right, or somebody else had to scratch it and shit. They just kept going back and forth, and you never saw an American nigga in the house. You just saw like guys from other countries and shit, guys from other cultures, and your shit wasn't. They didn't give a fuck about you. You were left to your own fucking devices and shit for the most part. I mean, they loved you and they raised you and clothed you and everything, but like, you know what I mean? The teacher, the mother is the first teacher of the child. That's the point I'm trying to make. The mother is the first teacher of the child. And you look at our communities, you look at what it looks like today and shit, and you look at the power dynamic, in our communities and shit, and how many women have seats of power and shit, or have avenues to speak to, the minority majority directly, and what have they fucking done and shit? Why is things worse, or why is things worse than before, the civil rights and shit? It's just getting bad, man. It's getting bad out there and shit. And I just hate that these sisters out here on this kick, and every generation, it's like when you make a fucked up copy of something in a copy machine and shit, and then you make a copy of that copy and a copy of that cat, it just gets really warped and shit. And that's what we got in the black women today and shit. That's why dudes have to get the fuck out, get a passport. They got to treat bitches you got to treat women how they want to be treated, how you're talking to you. They're talking about they want you to pay their bills and all this shit. And I'm just saying, like, look, Ain't no man looking for a business partner. They're looking for a companion in life. They're looking for a lover and shit. You guys can't grasp that concept because you have an infantilized view of what you think a relationship is. I'm not gonna get into a back and forth with any female about this kind of shit because it's fucking futile. We're gonna take action. Action, you know, action over words. All right, no woman is gonna understand. Even when you do the shit, when the small contingent of men that actually have passports and are traveling back and forth and going over there living and being expats are doing shit, there's still dudes stuck over here. And if I've said it before, our community is gonna have to shrink down to, it's gonna have to lose a third of its population thematically before people start getting on point and shit. Okay? And it's fucked up. You black women keep making these scared videos, these extremist videos and shit, and, just not doing anything. You're just accelerating. It's like a virus, and you're accelerating the process and shit. With this crap. And far be it from me to try to discourage that through sheer commentary alone. I just keep making this shit now. I'll make my fucking videos, and other guys will make their fucking videos and shit. And that's all we gonna do and shit. Eventually they'll probably try to silence us and shit. And it's all good because the damage will be done. The damage will be done and whatnot. Okay? And this shit got really accelerated. It got superheated when we saw the response, the response to Kevin Samuel's untimely death.